Granny, you need to ask some question. I'm the interview judge, and then let's hear some questions.
Okay.
That's really interesting, Joe. Can't wait.
What was food like in the 60s? Did you have a favourite food? And what would you eat on special occasions?
Oh, those are three really good questions. Well, food in the 1960s was very simple. You only ate about 3 different things, not like all the different food you can get today. And you always had a roast. Maybe roast beef, maybe roast chicken on Sunday. And on special occasions like Christmas, you did always have a turkey. And everything was home cooked.
And what was on birthdays?
Birthdays would be sardine sandwiches, egg sandwiches, and birthday cake. And everything was homemade, and we would play party games. We didn't have an entertainer. We would play pass the parcel and musical statues, and it was all really good fun. And my favourite food was my mum's homemade shepherd's pie. Now you have cottage pie. Cottage pie is made from beef, but shepherd's pie is made from lamb. That was my favourite. And lemon meringue pie. Those were my 2 favourites. Oh, and one more thing, there's something called spam. One day I might get you to try spam. It was like a reconstituted meat which they ate just after the war, but you carried on eating it in the 60s. So that was a brilliant question, Joe.
Granny, what was toys like in the 60s? Did you have to go shopping for them?
You asked really good questions, Joe. So you didn't have that many toys. Very different today when you have lots of different toys. There were no electronic toys. I had a doll's house, a farm set, and lots of dolls. And there were 1 or 2 toy shops, but that's all. I love your questions, Joe.
Granny, what was school like in the 60s? What was the meal like?
I went to a really nice school in the 60s, but we had to wear a very special uniform all the time. We had winter uniform and summer uniform, and we had to wear a boater, which is like a straw hat, and then we had to wear little white gloves, and we had 2 pairs of shoes, indoor shoes and outdoor shoes. So when we came into school, we had to change our shoes to keep everything really clean, and we would sit at desks, and we would use a fountain pen and dip it in ink to write with. And the food was really good at my school. But I'm going to tell you, just before I went to this school, my very, very first school when I was 5 years old wasn't quite as nice. It was quite old-fashioned and had great big high windows. You couldn't look out the windows, and the whole place smelled of boiled cabbage. But I only went there for a term, and then I went to a really nice school. So you asked another brilliant question, Joe.
Granny, what kind of music did you listen to? And what did you listen to it on?
Wow, you ask questions that even get even more interesting. Well, the music was what was called pop music. You probably know that word, pop music. And there was a group called the Beatles. So maybe when we finish the interview, we can listen to some Beatles pop music. But also we played it on a record player. We had records. Now I'm going to show you what a record is. That is a record. And that is Thomas the Tank Engine. So I used to listen to Thomas the Tank Engine on a record, and that is a record. It's a bit like a disc, but you put it on a machine, and then a needle goes there, and the machine turns the disc round and it plays that. Have you ever seen a disc?
Yeah.
That's called an EP, and the big ones were called LPs. Do you want to have a look at it?
Yes, please.
So I'll put it back. Now these are very old. If you could find a record player, you could listen to it. And there's Thomas. That's what I used to listen to. And there's another one. The second one. If we could find a record player, you could listen to those. Can you recognise any of the engines on the picture?
Yes, I don't.
Okay.
So
Do you want to
that's-
I'm just going to have them in my hand so they don't get hurt by the damaged by the fire.
I don't know. Dan. All of them. I can't remember.
Well, there's Thomas, the blue one,
Yeah.
and there's probably Gordon,
Yeah.
the express one. Those were EPs, and the big ones were LPs. And somewhere in my loft, I might have the LPs, the big ones. Brilliant question.
What was it like when you first saw them?
When I first saw these, well, I think I was very excited because it was great fun watching the record player go round and round and round and round, and you had to make sure there was no dust on the needle, and because I love listening to stories. So I felt very excited listening to these stories.
Granny, what were the major events that you can remember in the 60s?
That's the best question ever, Joe. Well, the really, really big event was that men landed on the moon for the very first time. So they sent a rocket all the way up to the moon, and then Neil Armstrong came down some steps, and he was the first person ever to land on the moon, and we all sat and watched the moon landing together as a family. And the other important event was when we had colour television. There was only black and white television. And then we had colour television, and I remember the first colour television, I was staying with my granny, so that's your great granny, in Scotland, and we had a colour television for Easter.
No, great granny, because the granny that was Dada was the great
Yes, I'm
granny,
sure that's
and
right.
then your one is the great gran.
You're very good on this, aren't you?
Thank you for answering my question.
Thank you, Joe, for asking me.
I enjoyed learning about the 60s.
Well, I enjoyed telling you about the 60s, and thank you for asking me. Well done. That was really interesting.